When resentment surfaces, it doesn't always announce itself with open hostility or angry outbursts. Often the bitterness hides in subtle gestures and carefully masked remarks, what we might call silent resentment. Over time, this unspoken friction can corrode relationships at work, in friendships, or within family ties. Recognizing it early not only preserves your peace of mind, but also offers a chance to address issues before they escalate. In this installment, we'll explore initial cues that suggest someone might be silently resentful of you, forced agreeableness, and underhanded teasing. We'll do so through a modern Stoicism lens, focusing on how to remain calm, discerning, and ethically grounded when you suspect hidden antagonism. Rather than being thrown off by subtle negativity, a Stoic approach equips you to maintain your composure, gather evidence thoughtfully, and respond in a measured way, protecting both your self-respect and the possibility of future reconciliation. Now, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. Only 15% of my audience is currently subscribed, so if these insights resonate with you, I'd love for you to join our community and turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Quiet tensions, Stoic insights. Before we examine these cues in detail, let's establish why modern Stoicism is relevant. The Stoic perspective reminds us that while we can't fully control whether someone resents us, we can control our interpretation of their behavior and our response to it. We don't want to become paranoid, seeing antagonism in every sideways glance, nor should we dismiss legitimate signs of trouble. In the Stoic framework, we aim to perceive the world as accurately as possible, neither magnifying nor minimizing a potential threat, all while preserving our inner stability. If a co-worker or friend is seething underneath polite smiles, that's part of life's unpredictable terrain, an external event. We can't demand that they love us or that they handle their feelings openly, but we can watch for the signs, keep a balanced mind, and if needed, address the tension calmly rather than ignoring it or reacting with hostility. Forced agreeableness and underhanded teasing often come across as relatively benign. To casual onlookers, the person might just seem polite or playful. Yet beneath the surface, there's an edge of resentment, something they're not expressing outright. Spotting these cues early can prevent confusion, miscommunications, or a gradual buildup of frustration on both sides. First cue, forced agreeableness. 1. What it looks like. Imagine you propose an idea in a group setting, maybe a team project at work or a plan for a friend's weekend outing. Suddenly, one individual nods vigorously at every detail, offering smiles and, "Absolutely, that's great," comments without adding any personal input. At first, it seems encouraging. They must like your idea, right? But over time, you notice they rarely engage in deeper discussions. They rarely offer alternative viewpoints or suggestions. Their agreement feels hollow. This is forced agreeableness, a pattern in which someone outwardly expresses support or positivity, yet you sense a certain hollowness behind it. Their tone may sound perfunctory, their eye contact fleeting. They might say, "Yes, let's do that," but never follow through with real enthusiasm or help. In truth, they might be nodding along only to avoid conflict or to camouflage a deeper frustration. 2. Why resentment might hide behind polite smiles. People who harbor resentment sometimes lack the confidence or inclination to speak up. Perhaps they worry about creating tension or losing face. If you happen to occupy a position of influence, maybe you're the project lead or the friend everyone admires, they may choose to appear agreeable rather than openly challenge you. Internally, though, they're stewing. Why does everyone always go with their ideas? Or, I don't actually think this plan is good, but I'll keep quiet. Forced agreeableness can also arise from a sense of social pressure. In certain environments, disagreeing might be frowned upon. The resentful individual decides it's safer to pretend to align with you, collecting small grudges with each meeting, each conversation. Eventually, this can erupt in more serious negativity or sabotage, but for now, it manifests as a quiet compliance that doesn't match what they truly feel. 3. Clues to watch for. Lack of genuine engagement. They nod and say, "Sounds good," but never volunteer input or ask clarifying questions. Tense micro-expressions. The corners of their mouth might tighten briefly before they offer that wide grin, or their eyes might flick away even as they vocalize agreement. Phrasing that ends conversations. They might say, "Whatever you think," or "Sure, that's fine," in a way that sounds final, discouraging further discussion. Reluctance to follow through. Despite saying yes, they contribute little to your plan's actual execution. If you assign tasks, they deliver them half-heartedly or wait until you remind them repeatedly. 4. A Stoic response. From a modern Stoic standpoint, we first remain observant rather than jumping to conclusions. We note how often they exhibit forced compliance and whether it happens only around certain topics or every time you propose something. Next, we engage with kindness but not blindness. For example, you might gently probe, "I notice you always agree with me, but I'd truly love to hear your own perspective. Is there something we could do differently?" Instead of confrontation, you open a door for honest dialogue. If they refuse to walk through that door, if they keep up the yes-man routine, then at least you've made it clear you're open to hearing real feedback. Stoicism also tells us not to take their forced positivity too personally. Their hidden resentment could stem from factors unrelated to you, feeling undervalued in general, insecurities, or external stress. While it may affect you, it's not necessarily your doing. If you find no immediate resolution, maintain your composure and adjust accordingly. You might share tasks or information in a transparent way, ensuring everyone's input is equally valued. By doing so, you reduce the chance that their forced agreeableness will morph into deeper grudges. If they persistently remain superficial, a final Stoic step is acceptance. You can't force genuine engagement or goodwill. You continue to act with integrity, giving them space to either come forward or remain in their shell of pretend harmony. Second cue, underhanded teasing or jokes 1. The nature of passive-aggressive humor. Sometimes resentment pops out in witty one-liners or so-called jokes that leave you feeling uneasy. This might appear in small group gatherings. Someone cracks a joke about your habits, your shortcomings, or your past mistakes, then says, "Just kidding." The remark stings, yet they deliver it with a grin. A newcomer to the situation might think nothing of it, but you sense a sharper edge. This is underhanded teasing. Commentary that pretends to be humor, but carries a barbed subtext. Maybe it zeroes in on an insecurity of yours, or it subtly belittles an accomplishment, or it hints that you're self-centered. The teaser may laugh it off or try to get others to laugh, seeking a momentary triumph at your expense. 2. How it signals resentment. Why wrap bitterness in a joke instead of confronting issues directly? Usually, the person finds direct confrontation uncomfortable, or they believe the group would side with you in a serious debate. Delivering insults in comedic form grants them plausible deniability. If you protest, they can claim you lack a sense of humor. This mechanism reveals a hidden resentment. They feel safe enough to take a swipe at you, but not honest enough to do it openly. For instance, a friend who's envious of your job promotion might tease you at a party. "Well, look who's suddenly too good for the rest of us," and then chuckle, scanning the room to see if others join in. The real message: I'm resentful that you got ahead. But they're testing the water in a way that allows them to retreat under just joking if you look offended. 3. Common telltale signs. Repeated themes. They keep joking about the same topic. Your new car, your schedule, your romantic status, suggesting it's a sore spot for them. Group setting. Underhanded jokes often appear when there's an audience. They might want that group validation or to see if others will chime in. Momentary pause. If you watch closely, you might see a flicker of real tension in their face before the forced laugh. They're testing how you'll react. Deflection. If you point out the remark as hurtful, they say, "Calm down, it's just a joke," dismissing your feelings rather than addressing them. 4. Responding like a Stoic. Modern Stoicism advises measured responses that don't feed the cycle of aggression. If you suspect underhanded jabs, your best initial move is to stay composed. Smiling calmly or giving a neutral nod acknowledges you heard them, but avoids giving them the emotional reaction they might crave. Later, you can address it privately. "You mentioned that thing about me being too fancy for the rest of you. Is something bothering you?" This approach respects the possibility that it might be a genuine joke that didn't land well, or it might be actual resentment. By discussing it away from the group, you reduce the chance they feel humiliated in front of others. If they continue with the same pattern, insisting it's all in your head, telling you you're oversensitive, then Stoicism helps you preserve dignity by not engaging in back-and-forth insults. You maintain healthy boundaries, spending less energy in interactions where you're treated like a punchline. Stoicism also teaches internal detachment. Someone's edgy jokes do not define your worth or truth. They reflect that person's internal conflicts or envy. By remembering this, you lessen the emotional sting. Instead of letting each barb wound you, you observe it, decide whether it warrants a response, and act calmly. The bigger picture, understanding these first two cues, how they often intertwine. Forced agreeableness and underhanded teasing can coexist. A resentful individual might outwardly support your suggestions, yet when you succeed, they strike with a sarcastic remark. In one breath, they'll say, "Oh yeah, do your thing," and in the next breath, they'll joke, "Guess it's easy when you have all the luck." These contradictory behaviors stem from the same root, hidden frustration that they can't or won't communicate openly. Why early recognition matters. By attuning yourself to these subtleties, you reduce the risk of misreading someone's motives. If you let forced agreeableness fool you, you might rely on that person's cooperation only to discover they're sabotaging you behind the scenes. If you ignore underhanded teasing, their resentment might grow, and you might find yourself increasingly uneasy around them, uncertain why their jokes always seem to cut so deep. Early detection fosters clarity, giving you a chance to address the tension rationally. Stoic, calm as the mainstay. Each time you notice these cues, remind yourself that Stoicism is about responding, not reacting. You pause, reflect. Are they truly resentful, or did they have an off day? Am I misinterpreting? Gather a bit of evidence, consistency over multiple interactions. Then, if it appears real, decide how to handle it. A simple conversation, an apology if you realize you contributed to their bitterness, or a boundary if they keep lobbing passive-aggressive jokes. Modern Stoicism also advocates not losing sleep over unchangeable external realities. If they refuse honest dialogue, that's their choice. Your job is to maintain your composure, treat them with fairness, and not let their hidden negativity poison your inner state. A brief illustration. Suppose you have a colleague named Harper. During team meetings, Harper nods enthusiastically at your ideas, rarely offering any suggestions of their own. You sense they're just going through the motions. Meanwhile, outside of meetings, you catch Harper making quips about how you're the boss's favorite, or always hogging the spotlight. They say it with a laugh, but it unsettles you. One day, a co-worker tells you Harper complained that you overshadow others. You piece together the signs, forced compliance in meetings, plus snide jokes outside. With stoic clarity, you calmly approach Harper one-on-one. You express, "I appreciate your support in meetings, but I also want to ensure everyone's ideas are heard. And I've sensed from a few comments that you might have concerns about how we collaborate. I'm open to your feedback." Harper might deny any issue, or they might open up. Either way, you haven't escalated the conflict. You've just acknowledged potential tension. If Harper continues to deny while persisting in passive-aggressive remarks, you let them be. You remain respectful, keep your boundaries, and ensure that in group settings, tasks and recognition are distributed fairly. You refuse to dwell on their resentment, since you cannot force them to be direct. When to engage, when to let go. Not every forced smile or teasing joke calls for intervention. People have different communication styles, and some jokes or subdued enthusiasm might be harmless. The Stoic notion is to observe patterns, not single instances. If the pattern clearly indicates hidden hostility, consider engaging gently, privately, if the relationship matters enough to salvage. For acquaintances or situations where deeper involvement isn't necessary, you might choose to let it go, ensuring it doesn't intrude on your peace. At times, confrontation can make matters worse if the person is deeply entrenched in denial or is prone to hostility. In such cases, a Stoic approach might be to note the risk and adjust your expectations. Trust them less with important tasks, or rely on them less for emotional support. This isn't cynical, it's prudent. You're simply not ignoring reality. Conclusion: opening the door to clarity. In this first part, we've examined two early cues, forced agreeableness and underhanded teasing, that can signal someone's unspoken resentments. Both revolve around a mismatch between what they verbally project, politeness, humor, and the tension lurking beneath. With a modern Stoic mindset, we strive for a balance of alertness and tranquility. We notice, we pay attention to repeated signs rather than dismiss them or overreact. We remain calm. We don't retaliate in kind or let suspicion cloud every interaction. We attempt reasoned dialogue. If feasible, we approach the person in private, clarifying our perceptions and inviting honesty. We accept what we can't fix. If they insist on hiding resentment or refuse to address it, we adapt without letting the situation destroy our serenity. Silent resentment rarely disappears on its own, but through consistent Stoic practice, we can stay grounded, respond thoughtfully, and, if needed, protect ourselves from deeper harm. By preventing forced smiles and pointed jokes from undermining our confidence, we foster healthier dynamics, or at least safeguard our own peace of mind until the other person is ready to engage more openly. As we proceed through the remaining parts, we'll explore additional cues that someone's resentment lingers beneath the surface, like passive-aggressive withholding, abrupt changes in body language, curt or dismissive interactions, and more. Building a comprehensive picture helps us navigate challenging relationships with resilience and empathy, reflecting the core tenets of modern Stoicism in action. In the previous installment, we explored how silently resentful people can mask their feelings through forced agreeableness or underhanded teasing remarks. Both cues hint at inner tension that never surfaces in direct confrontation, and recognizing them allows us to respond with a steadiness informed by modern Stoicism. Now we continue by examining two additional cues: passive-aggressive withholding and the conflicted signals that arise through body language. While both may appear less obvious at first glance, they can profoundly influence relationships. A friend, colleague, or relative might withhold information or assistance, or their physical demeanor might reveal hostility despite friendly words. Guided by Stoic insights, we can observe such subtle antagonisms, maintain a clear mind, and choose rational, balanced responses. Let us begin with the notion of passive-aggressive withholding. By definition, it involves the intentional or semi-conscious refusal to provide resources, communication, or acknowledgement that someone normally would. An example might be a co-worker who neglects to forward an important email, leaving you underprepared for a meeting. Alternatively, it could be a family member who forgets to mention updated holiday plans, conveniently leading you to miss the gathering. At first, these oversights might appear like genuine mistakes. Over time, however, the repetition of forgotten details starts to look like a pattern of sabotage. In Stoic terms, such withholding belongs to the realm of externals, actions and decisions we cannot fully control. Whether someone chooses to share information or withhold it is ultimately up to them. But the modern Stoic recognizes that we still have power over our own investigative efforts, our ability to track details, and our skill in calmly confronting the situation. Why does passive-aggressive withholding indicate underlying resentment? Typically, a genuinely neutral or supportive individual has no motive to watch you stumble in ignorance. They might not go out of their way to coddle you, but they also have no reason to systematically exclude you from relevant information. A coworker who likes or respects you will share needed data without prompting. A friend who harbors no hostility will remember to invite you to group events. When that normal goodwill is replaced by reluctance or subtle silence, it often means a simmering discontent drives their behavior. A person might have felt overshadowed or disrespected. They may resent your position, your success, or some prior slight, and they express it through non-cooperation. The Stoic approach here is not to leap to accusations. Anger and suspicion can distort our view, but to observe quietly and gather consistent signs. If, for instance, the same person repeatedly omits vital updates, never remembers to pass along essential facts, or consistently avoids giving help they'd otherwise be expected to give, we may conclude that it's not accidental. Yet modern Stoicism reminds us not to spin ourselves into paranoid frenzy. Mistakes do happen. People can be busy or absent-minded for reasons unrelated to resentment. Our job is to remain calm, note the pattern over time, and see if it aligns with other cues. Should we find real evidence, we then decide on a course of action. We might raise the issue politely, such as, "I've noticed a few times now that I've been left out of these email chains. Could you let me know how we're organizing them? I don't want to miss anything important." A neutral tone, free of aggression, often disarms a passive-aggressive person. If they were testing whether they can inconvenience you, they see your composure and diligence, and they find less reward in persisting. The deeper resentments may remain, but you reduce the chance of being sabotaged. Another approach is to specify responsibilities in a transparent manner, especially in work settings, publicly posting schedules, tasks, or instructions so that no single person can sabotage the flow of data. In personal relationships, a Stoic lens suggests calmly verifying details on your own whenever possible. If a friend or sibling is known to forget to invite you, follow up yourself. Let them see that you're not dependent on their selective memory. Maintaining your equilibrium, you neither accuse them nor become a helpless victim. This leads us into broader reflections on how best to handle the emotional weight that comes with realizing someone is withholding resources as a subtle way to express resentment. It's normal to feel hurt, upset, or disappointed, but the Stoic tradition advises that anger or despair over another's behavior only grants them more power over our mental state. We can accept that they behave this way for reasons of their own, and we can politely seek solutions without losing our composure. If the pattern continues, we might limit our reliance on them, delegating tasks or verifying information through alternative channels. We do not have to wage war over their negativity, nor do we have to accommodate it. In Stoic terms, we preserve our peace by focusing on what we can do, documenting, clarifying, double-checking, while letting go of the notion that we can force them to be cooperative. If we truly suspect deeper conflict, we can extend an invitation to talk about underlying frustrations. Sometimes offering them a chance to speak openly can dissipate the resentment. Or they might deny any problem, in which case we accept that we cannot draw sincerity out of them against their will. We remain civil, but we plan accordingly. The other cue we examine now is the presence of body language discrepancies. Nonverbal expressions, often more honest than words, can be the key to spotting silent resentment. We may notice a mismatch between what the person says and how they hold themselves. They might claim everything is fine while standing with tense shoulders, pursed lips, or a forced smile that disappears the moment they think no one is looking. Eye contact may be minimal, or they might roll their eyes when they think you're not paying attention. A handshake might be extra brief and limp, or their body angles away from you in conversation. They might speak politely, but avoid proximity, stepping back whenever you step forward. Stoicism teaches observation, discernment without immediate judgment. So, if we sense that someone's tone is cordial, yet their posture and facial cues signal discomfort, we stay calm and gather more context. Perhaps they're simply shy or anxious. If, however, this tension only arises around you, or it consistently appears right after certain triggers, like your mention of a personal success or a decision in which they had no say, silent resentment becomes more likely. Body language discrepancies can also appear in quick micro-expressions, a brief glare or tightening of the jaw when you announce good news, replaced by a fake smile a split second later. Resentful individuals sometimes struggle to maintain a facade of politeness. They might nod along, but a half-second scowl or furrowed brow betrays how they really feel. They could shift restlessly or tap their fingers, seeming impatient for the conversation to end. Modern Stoicism invites us to note these signals with a cool head. We do not need to call them out publicly or shame the person. Rather, we tuck that observation away, balancing it against other evidence. If the same coworker who withholds vital information also reveals tension in posture or looks away whenever you speak, it's likely they're quietly harboring ill will. Responding to these body language clues in a Stoic manner entails neither accusations nor an attempt to expose them. Instead, we hold in mind that they may be battling personal conflicts, insecurities, or grudges. We approach them with calm empathy where possible, yet also with protective awareness. The Stoic emphasis on virtue means we do not stoop to passive aggression ourselves, nor do we yield to cynicism about human nature. We can, if appropriate, attempt a one-on-one conversation that invites honesty. We might say, "I notice you seem uneasy around me sometimes. If there's anything you want to discuss, I'm open to it." The resentful person might deny everything, but occasionally such a gesture can open the door to resolution. If they remain evasive, we accept that we cannot compel them to drop their guard. From a Stoic vantage, the ultimate goal is to preserve our internal equanimity while handling external frictions ethically. We remain watchful, but we refuse to become either naive or vengeful. If body language discrepancies confirm that our polite coworker or friend actually resents us, we can set boundaries for our emotional safety. That might mean spending less time alone with them or structuring interactions to keep them constructive and short. We do not need to pretend we share warm affection if their body says otherwise. Stoicism does not require illusions. It requires clarity, compassion, and an untroubled sense of self. It is also worth remembering that silent resentment sometimes arises from misunderstandings or personal struggles that have little to do with us. Perhaps the coworker who stands rigidly and seems to avoid eye contact is dealing with personal stress or a health issue. Maybe their withholding of assistance isn't as deliberate as it appears. The Stoic approach to evidence warns us not to rely on a single instance or only on fleeting impressions. We aim to see repeated patterns before concluding that resentment is at play. If we do confirm it, then we weigh our responses carefully. Direct but calm conversation, a willingness to correct any real harm we might have done, and acceptance if they refuse to budge. A scenario might clarify how these two cues converge. Imagine you have a colleague named Ian. You've noticed for weeks that Ian leaves you off-group messages about a collaborative project. He claims ignorance each time. Meanwhile, in team meetings, he avoids eye contact with you, crossing his arms and offering curt nods. When you propose an idea, you see him exhale sharply or roll his eyes for a split second before schooling his expression. He might quickly follow up with, "Oh, sure, that's great," but his physical demeanor conveys impatience or distaste. Instead of confronting him with anger or ignoring it altogether, a Stoic approach means calmly verifying what's happening. You keep records of who was included on project updates. You politely mention the omissions, giving him a chance to clarify. If the pattern persists, you can approach him in private. "Ian, I've noticed you don't seem comfortable when I share ideas, and I've often missed out on important messages. Is there anything on your mind? I want us to work smoothly together." If he denies any issue, you accept his statement but remain watchful. You also set up a direct line of communication or ask the team lead to specify that all updates must copy everyone. You keep your tone measured, showing neither fear nor aggression. Should Ian's resentment run deep, your calmness might frustrate him further, or it might disarm him enough to reduce future passive aggression. From a Stoic perspective, you have handled your side of the relationship with reason and composure. Whether Ian chooses to be forthright or continues harboring silent anger is beyond your control. The important part is that you have recognized the cues, withholding and incongruent body language, responded thoughtfully, and safeguarded your own peace of mind. In personal relationships, we can see similar patterns. Perhaps you have a cousin, Rosa, who used to share family updates generously, but for the past few months has neglected to pass along news about gatherings or changes in schedule. You consistently find yourself hearing about events at the last minute. Meanwhile, whenever you see Rosa, she flashes a quick forced smile and shrugs off conversation. Her arms remain folded, eyes dart around. She offers minimal commentary on your life achievements. If you manage to bring up your concerns, she might say, "Oh, I didn't realize it mattered," or "I thought you were busy." Stoic advice might be first to examine your own actions. Have you slighted Rosa inadvertently or overshadowed her achievements in the family setting? Are there ways to extend an olive branch, inviting her to share her feelings openly? If she never does, or if she reacts with denial or more avoidance, you note that you cannot force closeness. You might gather your own information about family plans from another source, circumventing her gatekeeping. You do so with neither malice nor desperation. You accept that her resentment is her burden to carry and you remain cordial but not reliant. In all these scenarios, part of the Stoic practice is learning not to internalize the negativity you detect. We might sense an urge to confront them harshly, or to withdraw in sadness or anger. By drawing on the Stoic principle that we only truly govern our own judgments and choices, we see that their silent animosity need not rattle our equilibrium. We can choose how to respond, from calm conversation to boundary setting, or from problem solving to acceptance. We refrain from illusions, pretending everything is fine if it isn't, but we also refrain from needless drama. Silent resentment thrives on confusion, hidden agendas, and reactive outbursts. By staying clear-eyed and purposeful, we reduce its impact on our emotional well-being. Now, some exciting news. Our channel now offers a members club. By joining it, you'll unlock exclusive benefits, deeper content dives, and personal insights. Join us on this journey, and let's build a meaningful life together. And I also humbly ask you to leave a comment, as it helps my channel immensely. If you do not know what to comment, just write "better every day," so I know you reached this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Also, I've linked some books on Stoicism that helped me become the man I am today, and will also help you achieve a Stoic mindset. Some might wonder, though, if ignoring these cues would not be easier. Stoicism does not mean passivity. While we shouldn't overanalyze every sideways glance, ignoring repeated, consistent signs of sabotage or hostility can be risky. Our personal or professional life may suffer if we allow silent resentments to fester unchecked. We might inadvertently let a resentful team member sabotage joint projects, or we might let a friend's bitterness corrode what could be addressed early. Stoic reasoning involves prudent action, calm, measured, neither panicked nor complacent. That is why we carefully gather evidence, confirm patterns, and then choose a rational path. Confrontation does not always solve the issue. Indeed, some individuals will deny their resentment or lash out if pressed. Even so, the Stoics' calm attempt to clarify the situation remains worthwhile because it sets the record straight on our side. Should the situation escalate or remain stuck, at least we have not violated our own integrity by stooping to the same passive-aggressive tactics. We preserve the Stoic virtues of courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom in how we engage with them. We can also combine these insights with the cues from Part 1. If someone's forced agreeableness has escalated into the realm of withholding crucial resources and showing tense, distant body language, we see a mounting pattern of hidden conflict. We might realize we should take steps to either reduce reliance on them or, if possible, find a mediator who can bring issues to light. The Stoic hallmark remains steady composure. Where others might resort to emotional showdowns, we adopt the more thoughtful approach, aiming to do as little harm as possible while preserving our own mental freedom. At times, we might discover that the silent resentment directed at us stems from misunderstandings we could correct. An individual might have believed a rumor or misinterpreted our actions or felt overshadowed. Our calm invitation to talk, combined with a willingness to apologize if we truly erred, can sometimes dissolve resentment. Stoicism does not forbid apologizing or empathizing. Instead, it cautions us never to become enslaved to the whims of another's hidden negativity. We extend empathy, but we do not let their bitterness define our emotions or lead us into an anxious desire to please them at all costs. If the attempt at dialogue fails, we move on, focusing on what is in our power, our own moral stance, our own sense of virtue. This stance allows for compassion too. Resentment often arises from deep-seated insecurities, fears, or feelings of inadequacy. The co-worker who sabotages your project might be deeply worried about job security, feeling overshadowed by your performance. The cousin who withholds updates might feel overshadowed in the family dynamic, seething with envy. Recognizing that they suffer internally can temper our frustration with a measure of sympathy, though it does not justify the behavior. Stoic compassion recognizes that people can be misguided by their emotions, and we remain open to reconciliation, but not at the expense of enabling harmful conduct. Altogether, these reflections on passive-aggressive withholding and body language discrepancies offer a second layer of understanding silent resentment. We see how resentful individuals might sabotage through omission or minor sabotage, and how their posture and micro-expressions can reveal the tension they try to hide. Modern Stoicism frames our response as a balance of calm vigilance, honest attempts at resolution, and a willingness to safeguard our own equilibrium. We neither overreact nor brush it aside, but approach it rationally. As we progress, we'll explore additional cues that likewise signal hidden antagonism, culminating in a broader strategy for identifying, interpreting, and responding to silent resentment in any environment. The consistent thread remains: Stoic self-control. We do not let suspicion dominate us. We do not become naive either. By calmly acknowledging the reality of passive aggression or contradictory body language, we position ourselves to act ethically and effectively, keeping bitterness from seeping into our own mindset. For now, we have laid out how subtle sabotage in the form of withheld support or tension-laden gestures can betray someone's quiet anger. We have also seen how to respond without compromising our own peace of mind or moral standards. This approach exemplifies the Stoic principle that we cannot force external harmony, but we can cultivate it within ourselves and gently invite others to join us in open, collaborative discourse. Where they refuse, we let them be, continuing on our path with composure intact. Stoicism does not promise that all resentments will be resolved, but it does guarantee that we can face them with clarity, resilience, and unwavering virtue. Welcome back. In our previous installments, we focused on the first 4 subtle signals that someone might harbor a silent resentment toward you: forced agreeableness, underhanded teasing, passive-aggressive withholding, and conflicted body language. Each of these behaviors can hint at private bitterness that's never openly expressed, and we've explored how a Stoic mindset empowers us to remain observant yet composed, responding with tempered rationality rather than impulsive reaction. We'll continue using modern Stoicism as our guiding framework, recognizing that while we cannot compel someone to be transparent or kind, we can choose how we interpret and address subtle signs of underlying hostility. Let's begin. Chapter 1. A Stoic Refresher. Why we look for these cues. A core Stoic principle reminds us that much of life lies outside our control. Other people's thoughts, attitudes, and resentments fall into that realm. Yet the Stoic path does not call for blind acceptance of every slight or subtle aggression. Instead, we cultivate awareness, spotting patterns of negativity so that we can respond rationally. Failing to notice silent resentment can lead us into repeated misunderstandings or even sabotage. By identifying these hidden clues, whether abrupt interactions or backhanded praise, we gain the clarity to protect our well-being and, ideally, foster more authentic communication. The balance of perception. Of course, modern Stoicism also warns us not to become suspicious of every mild annoyance. The person who answers in monosyllables might simply be having a bad day. The friend who phrases a compliment oddly might lack social finesse, not harbor secret bitterness. We aim to notice consistent patterns and repeated behavior. When a single incident escalates into a complete narrative, we risk distorting reality. It's the repeated or layered nature of these cues that signals genuine hidden resentment. Chapter 2. Cue number 5. Curt or abrupt. Defining the behavior. Imagine you ask a co-worker, "How's your day going?" and get only a terse reply. Fine. You try to discuss a project with them, but their responses are clipped. Yes, no, or whatever. They offer no warmth, no reciprocal questions, and they rarely elaborate unless you press them. In social or family contexts, a similarly abrupt pattern might emerge. You invite them to a gathering, and they respond with a curt, "Can't make it," leaving no explanation or sense of regret. Such curt or abrupt interactions typically imply more than mere introversion. Introverted people may speak less, but still convey some measure of genuine courtesy or interest. By contrast, the resentful person's replies feel cold, dismissive, as though they're deliberately withholding normal politeness or emotional presence. They may not be glaring or insulting, but their clipped tone and minimal engagement reveal underlying tensions. Why it suggests resentment. Motivated distance. By limiting conversation, they effectively say, "I don't want to talk to you more than necessary." Unexpressed frustration. Instead of confronting whatever bothers them, they opt to keep you at arm's length, offering only the bare minimum. Preemptive barrier. They might fear you'll probe their true feelings, so they build a wall of short replies, enough to appear functional but not friendly. The Stoic perspective on curt exchanges. A Stoic lens would first note patterns. Is the person abrupt with everyone, or mainly with you? If they're universally terse, you might be dealing with a personality style or a temporary mood. If they seem fine around others but clam up specifically when you approach, that's a stronger indicator of directed resentment. Key Stoic practices here. 1. Temperance. Resist the urge to mirror their abruptness with hostility. 2. Wisdom. Discern whether it's a persistent pattern or a short-lived phase. 3. Justice. If you suspect you might have wronged them, you can calmly acknowledge the possibility and offer to discuss. Handling abrupt interactions. 1. Extend a gentle invitation. "I've noticed you seem busy or not in the mood to chat lately. If there's something on your mind, I'm open to hearing it." The tone matters, non-accusatory, sincerely offering space for them to speak. 2. Don't push. If they remain curt, accept their stance without resentment. Stoicism encourages a light touch. We can't force them to open up if they choose silence. 3. Adjust engagement. If repeated efforts fail, limit your interactions to what's strictly necessary. Document any vital communication in writing, especially in work settings, so there's less room for confusion or sabotage. An example. Suppose you have a family member named Dylan who answers every question with a one-word reply. Fine, no, yes. Yet you see him chatting more openly with others. You suspect underlying tension, maybe an old grudge or envy. A Stoic approach is to maintain a polite tone. "Hey Dylan, I notice you seem quieter around me than usual. If there's anything you want to get off your chest, I'm here." If he shrugs you off, you let it be. The negativity is in his domain, not yours. You remain courteous, but you stop investing too much emotional energy trying to coax him out of his shell if he persists in shutting you out. Chapter 3. Cue number 6. Backhanded compliments. Identifying the subtle insult. A backhanded compliment might sound like praise, but there's an implied slight. For instance, "You did pretty well for someone with no formal training," or "I'm surprised you managed to handle that on your own." Ostensibly, these remarks applaud your accomplishment, but they also insinuate your lack of competence, status, or intelligence. They can be disorienting because part of you hears the praise, while another part registers the embedded put-down. In a social setting, you might hear, "You look great, almost unrecognizable," or I never thought you'd pull that off, but hey, congrats. Such statements often reflect underlying envy or resentment. The person wants to acknowledge your success or positive trait while subtly undermining it. Why resentful people use backhanded compliments. When individuals harbor resentment but don't wish to appear overtly hostile, backhanded compliments offer a cunning alternative. They can claim they're being nice while simultaneously diminishing you. If confronted, they might protest, "But I was complimenting you." This technique gives them deniability and can make you second-guess whether you're being overly sensitive. Stoic clarity amid mixed messages. From a Stoic viewpoint, your first task is to remain steady and interpret the remark rationally. Ask, is there a consistent pattern of these off-kilter compliments from this person? Do they seem genuine, or do they always carry an undercurrent of belittlement? Stoicism encourages you to consider the evidence without letting pride or immediate offense cloud your judgment. 1. Pause and breathe. When you detect a possible backhanded compliment, resist any flash of anger. 2. Assess the pattern. Do they repeatedly frame their compliments in a way that implies doubt about your abilities or worth? 3. Stay centered. Stoicism teaches that your real value isn't determined by their commentary. Their words belong to them. Responding with poise. Neutral inquiry. You might reply with calm curiosity, "Thanks, I think." What makes you say, for someone with no training? This invites them to clarify. Sometimes they may scramble to justify their comment. Short, polite acknowledgement. If it's not worth delving into, a simple "appreciate it," said with a polite tone, can suffice. You note the potential insult, but don't escalate tension. Private conversation. If you value the relationship, discuss it one-on-one. When you said, "I'm surprised you managed that. It felt like a slight against my competence. Is there something else going on?" If the person's resentment runs deep, they might double down, acting innocent. The Stoic principle is that we control our own virtue and stability, not theirs. If they refuse to engage honestly, you let the matter rest, adjusting how much credence you give to their future remarks. A quick scenario. Imagine your friend Ava says, "Wow, your presentation was actually good. I didn't think you had time to prepare." It lands as a compliment, but also reveals she doubted your capability. You politely answer, "I appreciate that. I guess I managed my time better than expected." If it's an isolated incident, maybe there's no issue. But if Ava routinely drops such remarks, "Wow, that outfit looks expensive. Who knew you'd splurge?" you gather that she likely harbors mild envy or resentment. A Stoic response is to neither bristle nor yield to insecurity. You calmly accept her words, keep a mental note, and if necessary, address the pattern in a measured conversation. If she insists she's just joking or denies any subtext, you accept her stance, but maintain your inner dignity, not letting her disguised barbs erode your self-esteem. Chapter 4. Why these new cues matter: deeper relationship impact. Curt interactions and backhanded compliments might seem relatively minor compared to outright conflict, yet their subtlety can erode trust and comfort over time. They foster a kind of emotional drip that gnaws at both parties. The resentful person gains petty satisfaction from their veiled negativity, while you might feel uneasy, wondering if you did something wrong or if you're imagining the subtext. Recognizing these cues halts that cycle of confusion, letting you see the situation with Stoic clarity. There is likely resentment at play, and you can respond appropriately. Checking for consistency across all cues. Along with the 4 cues previously discussed, forced agreeableness, underhanded teasing, passive-aggressive withholding, and mismatched body language, These two new ones form a more complete picture of hidden hostility. You might notice that a resentful coworker not only withholds help, but also responds brusquely to your questions, occasionally praising you in ways that undercut your skills. When multiple signs converge, you have stronger evidence that silent antagonism exists. Stoic compassion. Modern Stoicism doesn't translate to indifference about others' feelings. It means acknowledging you don't control them, but you can maintain goodwill and justice in how you engage. If you sense that a friend's abruptness stems from personal struggles, you might gently ask if everything's okay in their life, while still setting boundaries on how their mood affects you. Compassion here is balanced, recognizing their humanity, but not sacrificing your own peace or dignity in the process. Chapter 5. A Stoic-based plan of action. When confronted with curt or dismissive interactions and backhanded praise, here are steps guided by Stoic principles. Observe calmly. Don't jump to confrontation or brood in silence. Gather consistent evidence of their behavior. Reflect on your role. Have you inadvertently done something that might prompt their annoyance or envy? If so, consider an apology or acknowledgement calmly offered. Engage with composure or attempt a respectful chat if the relationship matters. For curt responses, I sense you're not in a talkative mood lately. Is there something we should address? For backhanded compliments, I appreciate your comment. Can you clarify what you meant? Respect their choice. If they deny any issue or brush you off, accept that their resentment may remain hidden. You can't force sincerity. Set or adjust boundaries. If the negativity persists, shape your interactions to protect your own tranquility. In a work environment, keep communication professional and documented. In personal life, engage less frequently or only in group settings if that eases tension. Practice emotional detachment. Remember, their resentment is rooted in their perceptions or experiences. That's outside your control. You remain kind, but don't let their negativity undermine your self-worth. Chapter 6. Illustrative examples. Curt interactions at work. You have a colleague named Miguel who, for months, answered you politely. But after you were praised by management on a recent project, Miguel's demeanor turned cold. Now, whenever you ask for input, he says, "It's fine," or "No idea," and moves on. You notice he chats enthusiastically with others, yet stays aloof around you. Stoic reflection. You consider if your recent success overshadowed Miguel's efforts, or if you inadvertently seemed boastful. Action. You attempt a calm conversation. "Miguel, is there something on your mind about the project or how we handle tasks? You seem distant lately." Possible outcome. Miguel might open up about feeling underappreciated, or he might deny any problem, staying curt. Either way, you've shown willingness to mend fences. If he remains cold, you stay civil, adjusting expectations for camaraderie. A backhanded compliment in a family gathering. Your cousin Priya greets you at a holiday dinner with, "Wow, you look great these days. Almost didn't recognize you without the usual casual clothes." The compliment that you look great is nullified by the insinuation that you normally don't. Stoic pause. You briefly note the incongruity. Is this a one-off awkward comment or part of a pattern? Response. You might smile politely and say, "Thanks, I guess I dress differently for special occasions," letting the subtext pass without dramatic confrontation. If Priya habitually frames compliments to undercut you, you could politely address it in private. "Priya, I sense that your comments about my appearance come with a hidden jab. Is something bothering you?" Outcome: she might laugh it off or deny ill intent. You then decide if further dialogue is worth pursuing. Through it all, you remain calm, not letting your mood be hijacked by her passive sting. Chapter 7. Common pitfalls to avoid: over-interpreting. Every curt reply: people have off days. Not all shortness or weirdly phrased praise equals resentment. Look for repetition. Confronting publicly: calling someone out in front of others for their clipped words or backhanded compliments can inflame embarrassment and deepen their resentment. Stoicism suggests a private, measured approach, mirroring their negativity. If you respond in kind, dishing out your own cutting remarks or abruptness, you feed the cycle. A Stoic approach means preserving your grace and not letting external negativity shape your character. Forcing a confession, badgering them to admit they resent you, often backfires. Stoic wisdom is comfortable with uncertain outcomes. You can invite honesty, but can't demand it. Chapter 8. Moving toward Part 4. Having now examined 6 cues in total, you may notice how they often overlap. A co-worker who's forcedly agreeable could also withhold information. A friend giving backhanded compliments might also appear physically tense, body language discrepancy. A sibling who's abrupt and minimal in conversation might follow it up with offhand jokes in group settings. Each sign alone might be ambiguous, but in combination they paint a clearer picture of someone's silent hostility. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to responding like a modern Stoic, balanced, purposeful, and resilient in the face of concealed grudges. In the final part, we'll introduce the 7th and last cue. Then we'll weave all 7 cues into a cohesive strategy: how to determine if someone is truly resentful, how best to respond, when to attempt reconciliation, and when to accept their stance and guard your well-being. Conclusion. Using Stoic poise. Curt replies and backhanded flattery both revolve around subtleties. They don't roar with obvious animosity, yet they can slowly chip away at trust or confidence if we remain oblivious. From a Stoic viewpoint, awareness is our shield. By calmly identifying these cues without leaping to anger or dismissiveness, we maintain emotional balance. We can compassionately address the possible tension, or, if the other party denies everything, choose to protect our mental clarity through strategic boundaries. Resentment, especially when silent, rarely resolves itself without at least some attempt at recognition. But the ultimate Stoic principle remains: their inner emotions are not ours to control. We hold our ground in integrity and composure, offering respect and directness. If that fosters better understanding, wonderful. If not, we still abide in a sense of self-possession, a hallmark of modern Stoicism in practice. If you've recognized any of these 7 cues in a key relationship, trust that approaching it stoically can save you from needless conflict or anxiety. Observe calmly, gather evidence, open a door to conversation if it's worthwhile, and respect the results. Whatever their choice, to share or keep festering, your inner state remains in your own hands. That is the quiet power of modern Stoicism, an unwavering center in the swirl of social complexities. Now, if any part of this message has been helpful to you, leave us your like and comment, helping the algorithm recommend it to someone who needs it at this time. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos. And if you look through the videos we've already uploaded, you're sure to find something to take with you. Have a good day. The subtle art of understanding human relationships is often fraught with uncertainty, especially when it comes to interpreting the emotions others might not openly express. Dislike, when carefully concealed, can create an undercurrent of tension that seeps into interactions, casting doubt and unease over otherwise mundane exchanges. To navigate such complexities requires a blend of emotional awareness and philosophical grounding. Stoicism, with its timeless wisdom, offers a practical lens through which to view these challenges. By fostering rational detachment and mindfulness, we can identify the subtle signs of hidden dislike without allowing them to disrupt our inner tranquility. Now, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. Only 15% of my audience is currently subscribed, so if these insights resonate with you, I'd love for you to join our community and turn on the notification bell to stay updated. The first and most foundational sign of concealed dislike often emerges through body language. Human communication is a tapestry woven with both spoken words and unspoken gestures, and while words can be crafted to conceal true feelings, the body often betrays what the heart truly harbors. The eyes, often described as the windows to the soul, are particularly telling. When someone harbors warmth or genuine regard, their gaze is steady, engaged, and open. Conversely, a fleeting or deliberately averted gaze can indicate discomfort, unease, or even disdain. Such subtle shifts in eye contact can carry an unspoken message, often far more potent than words. Picture an interaction where one individual seems to struggle to meet your eyes, their gaze darting around as if seeking an escape route. Perhaps their smile is polite, but lacks the spark of authenticity, creating a quiet dissonance between what they say and what they feel. These cues, while small, can weigh heavily on the dynamics of a relationship. However, Stoicism advises against rushing to judgment or allowing such observations to unsettle us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." This insight reminds us that we can choose not to assign undue significance to fleeting moments, allowing ourselves the freedom to observe without attachment. Further clues to hidden dislike are often revealed in physical posture and spatial behavior. The way individuals position themselves during interactions can subtly communicate their comfort level. Open body language, facing directly, maintaining a relaxed stance, and leaning slightly forward, signals engagement and receptivity. On the other hand, crossed arms, angled shoulders, or subtle leaning away can act as barriers, hinting at emotional or psychological distance. These physical cues, though seemingly trivial, are often involuntary and therefore highly revealing. Consider a scenario in which someone habitually positions themselves on the periphery of a group conversation, their body angled away from you even when you address them directly. Their posture may create an invisible boundary, signaling a reluctance to engage fully. While such behavior might prompt questions or even self-doubt, Stoicism encourages us to adopt a broader perspective. Epictetus wisely observed, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Instead of confronting these signs with anxiety or defensiveness, we can recognize them as reflections of the other person's internal state, a state that may have little to do with us. Another subtle but telling indicator of hidden dislike is found in micro-expressions, those fleeting facial movements that often reveal suppressed emotions. A brief grimace, a narrowing of the eyes, or a forced smile can communicate sentiments that the individual may wish to hide. These micro-expressions, occurring in the blink of an eye, bypass the conscious effort to conceal true feelings, offering a glimpse into the unfiltered emotional landscape. For example, during a conversation, you might notice a momentary tightening of the lips or a quick glance that conveys irritation. These fleeting signals, while easy to dismiss, can accumulate into a clearer picture when observed over time. However, Stoicism teaches us to resist the urge to personalize such moments. Marcus Aurelius's guidance to be tolerant with others and strict with yourself invites us to approach these situations with understanding rather than suspicion. Rather than reacting impulsively to these cues, we can remain composed, allowing the truth to reveal itself through patterns rather than isolated incidents. It is also worth noting that these subtle signs are not always reliable indicators of dislike. Human behavior is influenced by countless variables: stress, fatigue, distractions that may have nothing to do with personal feelings. A single instance of avoidance or discomfort could stem from external factors entirely unrelated to you. The wisdom of Stoicism lies in its emphasis on focusing on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions. By cultivating this focus, we free ourselves from the burden of misinterpreting or overanalyzing the behaviors of others. Beyond non-verbal communication, the tone and cadence of conversation often provide further insight into concealed emotions. While outward politeness may mask underlying sentiments, the absence of genuine enthusiasm in speech is harder to disguise. When someone truly values an interaction, their words are infused with energy, curiosity, and attentiveness. Conversely, disinterested tones, perfunctory responses, or a lack of follow-up questions can signal an unwillingness to connect. Navigating such subtleties demands a steady balance between observation and detachment. Stoicism offers a framework for interpreting these interactions without succumbing to emotional turbulence. By anchoring ourselves in rational thought and focusing on what lies within our sphere of influence, we can maintain our equanimity even in the face of veiled negativity. Recognizing the signs of hidden dislike is not about seeking confrontation or validation, but about cultivating awareness and responding with grace. As we move deeper into this exploration, the next part will delve into verbal cues and conversational dynamics that reveal unspoken aversions. Through long-form reflection and Stoic principles, we will uncover how to interpret these signs and transform potential sources of conflict into opportunities for growth and understanding. If the unspoken cues of body language offer the first layer of insight into concealed emotions, the words people choose and the ways they wield them add a second, equally revealing dimension. Speech, even when carefully measured, often carries subtle indications of what lies beneath the surface. Tone, cadence, and word choice can expose sentiments that contradict the outward appearance of politeness. When guided by the principles of Stoicism, we can learn to interpret these nuances without becoming entangled in emotional reactions, maintaining our focus on rational thought and virtuous behavior. The first verbal sign of concealed dislike is indifference. A person who harbors negative feelings but seeks to hide them may display a lack of interest in your thoughts, ideas, or experiences. Their responses might be curt, their engagement minimal, and their follow-up questions non-existent. Such conversations often feel one-sided, with you carrying the weight of sustaining the dialogue. The absence of genuine curiosity or enthusiasm can create an emotional void, leaving you questioning the authenticity of the exchange. Stoicism provides a counterbalance to the discomfort this indifference may provoke. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. This perspective encourages us to detach from the need for others' approval or validation. When faced with indifference, we can choose to maintain our composure, recognizing that the other person's lack of engagement reflects their inner state rather than our worth. Another verbal indicator is the use of veiled criticism. Concealed dislike often manifests through comments that on the surface appear neutral or even complimentary, but carry an undercurrent of judgment or disapproval. These remarks, sometimes referred to as backhanded compliments, are designed to undermine subtly while preserving plausible deniability. For example, a statement like, It's impressive how far you've come given your background may seem positive but contains an implicit devaluation of your past. In responding to veiled criticism, Stoicism teaches us to prioritize our inner stability over external validation. Marcus Aurelius' advice: choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been, empowers us to reframe such comments as reflections of the other person's insecurities or biases rather than an accurate assessment of our character. By refusing to internalize their judgment, we preserve our equanimity and demonstrate the resilience that Stoic philosophy champions. Interruptions and dismissive language also signal concealed dislike. A person who frequently cuts you off mid-sentence, changes the subject abruptly, or minimizes your contributions in conversation may be expressing their disregard through these actions. While interruptions can sometimes result from excitement or impatience, a pattern of dismissive behavior reveals an underlying lack of respect or interest. To navigate such interactions, Stoicism encourages us to practice patience and clarity. Rather than reacting with frustration or defensiveness, we can calmly assert ourselves when necessary, ensuring our voice is heard without succumbing to anger. Seneca's observation that anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it, serves as a guiding principle in these moments. By responding with measured words and steady composure, we model the virtues of reason and self-control. A subtler form of verbal distancing is the tendency to focus on transactional communication. When someone dislikes you but wishes to hide it, their conversations with you may lack depth or personal warmth. Instead, they may restrict interactions to functional topics, discussing only what is necessary to achieve a shared goal or fulfill an obligation. This lack of emotional engagement creates a barrier, signaling their unwillingness to invest in a deeper connection. While such behavior can feel isolating, it also offers an opportunity to practice the Stoic principle of acceptance. Epictetus advises, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." By accepting the limitations of the relationship without resentment, we free ourselves from the burden of unmet expectations and focus, instead on fostering connections that align with our values. Another revealing pattern lies in selective listening. When someone dislikes you but seeks to mask it, they may pay close attention to your words only when it serves their interests or supports their perspective. This selective engagement often results in a lack of understanding or misrepresentation of your views, as they filter your words through their own biases. Stoicism equips us to approach such situations with a spirit of inquiry rather than confrontation. By seeking to clarify misunderstandings and express ourselves clearly, we uphold the Stoic virtues of wisdom and justice. Marcus Aurelius's reminder to be tolerant with others and strict with yourself encourages us to maintain high standards in our own communication while extending patience and understanding to others, even when their actions fall short. Finally, concealed dislike may manifest through insincere praise. While genuine compliments are rooted in appreciation and goodwill, insincere praise often feels hollow or exaggerated. Such remarks may be delivered with a forced tone or accompanied by subtle non-verbal cues that betray their lack of authenticity. Recognizing this dissonance requires careful observation and emotional intelligence. Stoicism teaches us to value inner integrity over external flattery. Seneca's words, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor," remind us that our worth is not determined by others' opinions, but by our alignment with virtuous principles. When faced with insincere praise, we can choose to accept it with humility while remaining grounded in our own assessment of our character and actions. The verbal signs of concealed dislike: indifference, veiled criticism, interruptions, transactional communication, selective listening, and insincere praise, offer valuable insights into the dynamics of human interaction. By recognizing these patterns and responding with Stoic wisdom, we cultivate resilience, clarity, and emotional balance. In the next part, we will explore intentional behaviors and decisions that reveal hidden aversion, examining how Stoic principles can guide us in addressing these challenges with strength and composure. Beyond verbal cues and subtle conversational dynamics, concealed dislike often becomes apparent through intentional behaviors and decisions. These actions, though outwardly unremarkable, carry the weight of hidden sentiment. They reveal themselves in patterns over time, leaving traces that hint at an underlying aversion. By approaching these situations with the steady perspective of Stoicism, we can better interpret these signals and respond in a manner that upholds our peace and integrity. One of the clearest behavioral signs of concealed dislike is the withholding of acknowledgement or support. Whether in personal or professional contexts, people naturally gravitate toward affirming those they respect and appreciate. A lack of recognition, especially when efforts or achievements clearly warrant it, is often a deliberate choice. This withholding may manifest as a refusal to acknowledge contributions, a reluctance to provide credit, or a pattern of overlooking your input in group settings. For instance, imagine working on a project where your efforts are integral to its success, yet your contributions are routinely ignored during discussions or presentations. Over time, this absence of acknowledgement can erode morale and foster doubt. Stoicism, however, teaches us to anchor our sense of worth in our own actions rather than external validation. Marcus Aurelius's reminder, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength," offers a path to resilience. By valuing the intrinsic satisfaction of doing well and acting virtuously, we diminish the sting of unreciprocated recognition. Now, some exciting news: our channel now offers a members club. By joining it, you'll unlock exclusive benefits, deeper content dives, and personal insights. Join us on this journey, and let's build a meaningful life together. And I also humbly ask you to leave a comment, as it helps my channel immensely. If you do not know what to comment, just write "better every day," so I know you reached this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Also, I've linked some books on Stoicism that helped me become the man I am today, and will also help you achieve a Stoic mindset. Another intentional behavior that reveals hidden dislike is the subtle act of undermining. Unlike overt hostility, undermining operates in the shadows, where its effects are less immediately visible but no less harmful. It can take the form of providing incomplete or misleading information, questioning your decisions publicly, or subtly sowing doubt about your abilities among others. These actions often stem from a desire to control or diminish your influence, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty around your contributions. To address undermining effectively, Stoicism encourages preparation and vigilance. Document your efforts and ensure clarity in your communications to protect yourself against misrepresentation. Most importantly, remain steadfast in your principles. As Epictetus observed, know first who you are and what you're capable of. By grounding yourself in self-awareness and acting with integrity, you build a foundation of credibility that is difficult for others to erode. Avoidance is another behavior that speaks volumes about concealed dislike. This may manifest as skipped meetings, declined invitations, or a consistent lack of availability when you seek collaboration or input. While some level of avoidance is natural in busy environments, A persistent pattern often signals an unwillingness to engage with you on equal terms. Such behavior can feel isolating, leaving you questioning whether your presence is valued. In these moments, Stoicism offers the principle of acceptance. Rather than chasing after connections that are not freely given, focus your energy on relationships and endeavors where your efforts are welcomed and appreciated. Epictetus advises, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." Accepting avoidance as a reflection of the other person's state of mind, and not a measure of your own worth, allows you to preserve your inner equilibrium. Selective cooperation is another subtle yet telling behavior. When someone dislikes you, they may choose to offer assistance or collaboration only when it aligns with their interests, avoiding scenarios where helping you would benefit you more than themselves. This calculated approach to interaction reveals an underlying reluctance to contribute to your success unless it serves their agenda. Rather than becoming entangled in the frustration of selective cooperation, Stoicism invites us to focus on what lies within our control. Marcus Aurelius's assertion that "waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one," reminds us to continue acting with virtue and purpose, regardless of others' choices. By remaining consistent in our integrity, we demonstrate a strength of character that stands apart from petty calculations. A more overt form of concealed dislike manifests as subtle sabotage. Unlike undermining, which operates within social or professional contexts, sabotage often targets specific tasks or goals. This could involve withholding critical information, delaying responses, or creating obstacles that hinder your progress. While the intent may be covert, the cumulative impact of these actions becomes undeniable over time. Stoicism equips us with tools to address such challenges without succumbing to anger or despair. By cultivating foresight and adaptability, we can anticipate potential obstacles and prepare accordingly. Seneca's insight, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity," underscores the importance of proactive planning in overcoming deliberate hindrances. Rather than engaging in retaliatory behavior, we rise above such pettiness by focusing on solutions and maintaining our composure. Lastly, a consistent refusal to engage in meaningful dialogue can signal hidden dislike. When someone consistently avoids discussing important topics, dismisses your perspectives, or shuts down attempts at open communication, it creates a barrier that is difficult to bridge. This refusal often stems from a desire to avoid vulnerability or accountability, leaving the relationship mired in superficiality. In such situations, Stoicism encourages us to prioritize our peace and authenticity over the need for resolution. While open dialogue is valuable, it is not always possible or productive. Marcus Aurelius's reminder to "be satisfied if you act with a clear conscience" offers solace in these moments. By remaining true to our principles and communicating with honesty, we fulfill our responsibilities, regardless of the other person's willingness to engage. The intentional behaviors that reveal hidden dislike, withholding acknowledgement, undermining, avoidance, selective cooperation, sabotage, and refusal to engage, present opportunities to practice Stoic virtues such as patience, resilience, and clarity. By interpreting these actions through the lens of philosophy, we not only protect our inner tranquility, but also set an example of strength and integrity. In the final part, we will explore how Stoicism helps us navigate the emotional toll of concealed dislike, fostering growth and understanding amidst life's challenges. Navigating the emotional toll of concealed dislike is perhaps the most challenging aspect of recognizing and addressing hidden aversion. Unlike the tangible actions or verbal cues that can often be identified and analyzed, the internal impact of these experiences can be more insidious, quietly eroding confidence and sowing seeds of doubt. This is where the practical wisdom of Stoicism becomes invaluable, offering not just strategies for interpretation, but also tools for maintaining emotional resilience in the face of subtle negativity. The emotional weight of concealed dislike often stems from uncertainty. When faced with mixed signals and veiled intentions, it is natural to question the validity of your observations and, by extension, your instincts. This self-doubt can lead to overanalysis, where every action or word is dissected for hidden meaning. The resulting mental noise can be paralyzing, drawing energy away from the pursuits and relationships that truly matter. Stoicism teaches us to quiet this noise by focusing on what lies within our control. Epictetus reminds us, some things are up to us and some things are not. This foundational principle encourages a shift in perspective. Rather than dwelling on the actions or attitudes of others, we redirect our attention to our own thoughts, actions, and values. By anchoring ourselves in what we can influence, we free ourselves from the burden of attempting to control the uncontrollable. Another key aspect of managing the emotional toll is cultivating detachment from external validation. When someone's dislike is concealed, it often creates a sense of ambiguity that can provoke a desire for clarity or resolution. This desire, while understandable, can become a trap, pulling us into cycles of seeking approval or attempting to fix the relationship. Stoicism, however, emphasizes the importance of self-reliance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By finding contentment within ourselves, we diminish the hold that others' perceptions have over our emotional well-being. Forgiveness is another powerful tool that Stoicism offers in the face of hidden dislike. When we sense aversion from others, even when it is subtle or indirect, it is easy to harbor resentment. This resentment, however, serves as a toxin that corrodes our inner peace. Seneca's guidance to associate only with those who improve you reminds us that we have the agency to choose the influences we allow into our lives. While this does not mean ignoring negativity, it encourages a mindset of compassion and understanding. By forgiving those who harbor dislike, whether openly or covertly, we release ourselves from the chains of anger and bitterness. Stoicism also encourages us to view such experiences as opportunities for growth. Each instance of concealed dislike, when approached with awareness and detachment, becomes a lesson in resilience and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When someone's hidden aversion challenges us, it tests our ability to remain steady and virtuous amidst turbulence. In rising to this challenge, we cultivate the strength and wisdom that Stoicism seeks to develop. A practical exercise for managing the emotional toll of hidden dislike is the Stoic practice of negative visualization. By contemplating the possibility of adversity, we prepare ourselves to face it with equanimity. Imagine a scenario where a trusted colleague or acquaintance harbors dislike toward you. Instead of allowing this realization to unsettle you, reflect on the impermanence of relationships and the fallibility of human judgment. This exercise trains the mind to accept life's uncertainties without fear or resistance, fostering a sense of calm and perspective. Another helpful approach is the daily review, a practice encouraged by Stoic philosophers to assess one's actions and reactions. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on your interactions. Were there instances where you sensed hidden dislike? How did you respond? By examining these moments with honesty and detachment, you can identify patterns in both others' behavior and your own reactions. This self-awareness becomes a compass, guiding you toward more intentional and virtuous conduct. Building and maintaining healthy boundaries is equally essential when dealing with concealed dislike. While Stoicism promotes tolerance and understanding, it also recognizes the importance of protecting one's inner tranquility. If someone's behavior consistently undermines your peace, it is both reasonable and virtuous to limit your interactions with them. Epictetus advised, "Keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." By setting clear boundaries, you create space for relationships that nurture rather than drain your energy. It is also worth considering the role of empathy in addressing concealed dislike. While such behavior may initially provoke frustration or defensiveness, a Stoic perspective invites us to consider the underlying causes of others' actions. Often, hidden aversion stems from insecurity, jealousy, or unresolved personal struggles. Recognizing this does not excuse harmful behavior, but it fosters a sense of compassion that can diffuse tension and promote understanding. Ultimately, the Stoic approach to concealed dislike is one of balance. It acknowledges the reality of negative emotions and their impact on human relationships, while emphasizing the importance of maintaining inner harmony. By combining mindfulness, self-reliance, and a commitment to virtue, we navigate these challenges with grace and resilience. As this exploration concludes, let us reflect on the wisdom of Stoicism as a guide for interpreting and responding to concealed dislike. Through its principles, we learn to transcend the pettiness of hidden aversion, finding strength in our character and clarity in our purpose. In the ever-complex realm of human interaction, Stoicism offers a steady path toward understanding, growth, and enduring peace. Now, if any part of this message has been helpful to you, leave us your like and comment, helping the algorithm recommend it to someone who needs it at this time. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos. And if you look through the videos we've already uploaded, you're sure to find something to take with you. Have a good day.